Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth. Thank you so much for stopping by. We are on day 39 of the stay-at-home quarantine for the coronavirus pandemic, and that continues to go on, but we are all well, and I hope you are too. It's Friday, which means it's time for the Friday flip, and this is number 3. So far so good. I was working in this journal yesterday, and it occurred to me I have not actually ever talked about or shared this journal on my channel. Not sure why, just I guess, like I said, doesn't occur to me. So I figured today I'd do a quick share of this journal. The ones I'm currently working in are these 4. There's my composition notebook that I use for my morning pages. There's my Traveler's Factory that I use for my weeks. And you can see how I'm using that on the 2019 video that I did a couple of weeks ago. And then I'm working in this DIY insert as well. So this is more of my art journal. And this particular journal, I think these are primarily the ones that I'm looking around my desks to see if there's anything else that I currently have out. But these tend to be the ones that I touch more or less on a regular basis. So today we're going to do a flip of this one. And it's, like I said, it's not one that I have talked about much, but it's the standard size, or it's a standard notebook from Nanami paper. It's the A5. Let me see if that will focus. It's an A5, 480 pages blank. So I picked this up, I believe, on Amazon a couple of years ago. I think I got 2 of them. It comes in the slipcase, which is kind of getting tougher to get out of as I use it. But it's a Tomoe River paper notebook. And if you're a fan of Tomoe River paper, you just know how fantastic that is. But what I loved about this is how many pages, 480, you can get in a book that is this thin. I mean, it is so thin, it's barely the width of one of my fingers, right? So there's a lot of pages here. Now, what I use this journal for specifically is a Commonplace journal. So if you follow on my channel, you know that I take a lot of notes. And one of the things is some of the notes that I take, I actually want to be able to reference more frequently as opposed to going back and looking at my morning pages or one of my art journal inserts, because a lot of these get stored away when I fill them up. Okay. So what I do with this particular journal is I use it primarily as a way to take notes. So I haven't done anything in the first couple of pages. I tend to add watercolor and do a minimum decoration, but you can see that here. So what I do with this journal is I use it as a way to jot down something that calls to me, inspires me, gives me pause in books that I'm reading. I read a lot, and down in the description link below, I'll put a link to my Goodreads account if you want to take a look at the books I'm reading and more detailed reviews of those books. But what I do with this particular journal is really it's my repository for all of those kinds of things. So Commonplace journals have been used for millennia, and they typically are used as a catch-all. You put everything you want in it. People tend to have diary entries, sketches, journal entries, shopping lists, telephone numbers, whatever. I use mine very specifically for this purpose. So as you can see, it's basically I'll read a book, and then at some point before I delete the book or return the book or whatever, I come back and look at the things that I highlighted or noted in the book, and I just transcribe it into my journal. For me, writing is a way to keep things in my mind. It cements things in my mind in a way that, just reading does not necessarily always do. The decorations themselves are fairly minimal. There's some washi tape, there's some watercolors, there's a little bit of stamping probably, but again, this is not so much for the decoration as it is for the note keeping. So the reason this came up in my mind as a way to make sure that I do a flip on this one is I was working on these pages yesterday. So I haven't dated this yet, but these were done yesterday. And again, just things that I'm reading, thoughts that I'm having about things that I'm reading go more into my Morning Pages books. These are specifically things that I find in the books that I'm reading. And sometimes there are things that I keep track of, like here, books that are listed in the book I'm reading that I might want to, at some point, go take a look at and maybe read myself. So that's what I use this one for. Like I said, it's not necessarily about the decorations, although I do kind of have fun doing that. And so here's currently where I'm at. I'm about 30 pages into this one. So at 480 pages, this is going to last me a while. And that's the other reason I like this book. I can fit a lot of information in one book as opposed to have it across multiple volumes, if you will. So you can see kind of basically how the pages get set up before I add text to them. There's a little bit of watercolor washes that I splat on, some washi tape, some stamping. And one of the things that I'm thinking about maybe is even trying to do these or write in these pages without any color at all. So I think what I'm going to do is once I get to, these are just the blank pages ready for me, probably will get some stamping and some washi, is then come back to just the blank white paper and maybe try that. I tend not to use as much white when it comes to these kinds of journals, but I'm like, why not? And the thing about this particular way this journal is beautifully bound is that the pages lay flat. So that's what I have for you today. A really quick flip on this Commonplace journal that I'm using. Again, it's the 7C Standard by Nanami paper, and it's the A5, which is with 480 pages. And I love the Tomoe River paper. I just love how this paper feels to write on, as well as once you've done some writing and or painting on it, it's just got this, can you hear that? It's got this lovely crinkly sound, which ASMR, right? I mean, it's fantastic. So that's what I got for you today. This just slips right back into, let me see if I can get that there with this. It's getting fat. Fits right back into this cover. And like I said, that's what I've got. If you have any questions, comments, if you keep a Commonplace journal, or if you have a way that you are recording things from books that you read or movies that you watch or whatever, and have videos on those, please put a link down below so I can go take a look at those as well. Thank you so much. I hope you are well, and I'll see you next week on Friday. Bye.